course, when I was your age, plastic wasn't really used much for models like this. We used to build a lot in the way of model airplanes then. Stick models.
Made out of a stick?
Made out of a lot of little sticks, about this size. We used to glue them all together around a template.
What's a template?
Templates? Well, they're kind of roundish things with notches in them for the sticks. Here, let me show you. No, wait a minute. I'll show you while this next piece is drying. Hand me the glue, will you?
Well, I sure like the smell of glue, don't you, Dad?
Glue? Oh, well, I guess you could say it has an attractive smell. But I don't want you going around spending too much time smelling it. You could really mess up your insides. I can remember when I was your age, always looking for something new and exciting to do. I mean, model airplanes and cars were fun for a while, but we used to look around for exciting things. I don't know, like smoking or whatever. Well, today, I read where kids are smelling glue. Big whiffs of it. It gives them strange feelings. But what these kids don't seem to know is that it really is bad for their insides. But kids like to feel grown up. You hear about older kids doing things, and it doesn't seem to matter whether or not it's good for you. You want to be grown up, like wanting to shave.
This blade, it's the greatest.
I don't mean there's anything wrong with shaving, or even wanting to be grown up. But a lot of kids have the idea that being grown up means doing something wrong. I don't know where you kids get your ideas. Probably from TV. Every adult on TV seems to be in some kind of trouble. But being grown up isn't getting to do all the things you can't do when you're small. It's responsibility and plain hard work. You'd be surprised how many times we grown-ups would like to just sit back and be kids again. Just let our imaginations wander, like they did years ago.
Yes, every junior child's imagination takes him just about anywhere, especially when you lose his interest. Dad remembers his own flights of fancy when he was a boy, but he hasn't stopped to think that his son might just have them too. What happened in this scene? Something so simple, so basic, and yet something that is repeated over and over, too many times every day. Dad has something to say, something important, something he felt his son needed to know. And as long as he was answering his son's questions, he had his son's attention. But then something happened. He digressed. He started answering questions his son wasn't asking. And the boy's face never changed. There was no clue that he had turned his father off. But Dad's good words and intentions were just a waste of time. All of us who have the responsibility of teaching juniors have some memory of our own junior years. It may be a little hazy, but some of it is probably true. And we tend to base our approach to juniors on that memory. But today's junior is not the same boy he was when we were kids. Just as has happened with every other age group, today's junior is thinking thoughts, feeling things that his older brothers and sisters were feeling a few years ago. He is clothes conscious. Imagine that. He may even list among his best friends a girl. Remember how you hated boys or girls at that age? A surprising high percentage of today's juniors admit having what we used to call sweethearts. And the way they talk about them shows that this is hardly the childish kind of thing we knew. They are a changing group. And unless we understand and change our approach with them, they will become more and more difficult to reach. Now let's put a couple of things together. We said that in order to keep today's junior from turning you off, you had to answer the questions he is asking, and in a way which will communicate to him now. And we said that today's junior is asking things we never even thought of at that age. These are only two of a number of considerations we will be touching on. But these two considerations alone point up the need for something new in the way of Sunday school curriculum for juniors. Something that...
Whosoever things are true, whatsoever things are...
We used to say that the junior age was the golden age of memorization, remember?
One of the best guys on the beers is Jackie King, you know? Well, he's really fierce, man, because he can
Yes,
really go
the golden age of memorization.
100 yards
And there is good reason to call it that. We can see the junior's mind grabbing up, soaking up, and sending back the information on call.
If you, then
We decided that if a mind like that couldn't recall Bible verses, it was because it didn't want to. But we forgot that human beings, even at this age, need a meaningful reason for retaining what they have memorized and how it relates to their expanding world.
all of them, at least...
Football facts and figures are important to him because in his mind, he is a famous football star.
No, they can change him around all you feel like. But
He is getting to know himself, and in his imagination, he is the greatest.
Where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God.
Look in here for a minute. Juniors now is new. It had to happen. At Scripture Press, we took what we thought we knew about the junior and started checking it against the facts. Look at just one portion of this Juniors Now Quarterly. This will show you why Juniors Now is new and needed. In imagination, the junior is taken to the persecution of the early church. Vivid writing sparks his responsive imagination. And then, before the story and its effect are lost, the junior is asked to further use his imagination. An interview takes place, and the junior is Andronicus, an early Christian.
Why do you Christians have trouble with people who are not Christians?
The story is fresh. The questions are important. And there is a meaningful reason for the junior to look up Bible verses and find the answers. And to be certain that the junior's mind makes the transition from imagined history to his own experience, Juniors Now interrupts itself with pointed questions aimed at the junior himself. Of course, this is tightly related material, developing one strong point at a time. That's just plain, good educational practice. The new Juniors Now is interested in Juniors Now, not in merely pushing information at a learner. Both in home assignments and in exercises such as this in-class activity page, Juniors Now is designed to involve this active young mind in finding out for herself, learning more than just information, learning the biblical principles by which she can find answers all of her life. A realistic historical story, thought-provoking activities which carry her into her own Bible, and then a contemporary story that further underlines the point. The past, the present, tied together the one way that makes sense, with the Bible. What a stir to the imagination to know that he can claim the same promises today that the first Christians did. And there's even more to it than that. Remember how we used to call the junior age the age of heroes? Well, it still is. And today's junior has all kinds of heroes, all asking for his attention. Is there any better hero than Jesus Christ himself? Of course not. And Juniors Now focuses attention on this person, not as some faraway and long-ago figure, but as the living Son of God, with followers to call and a whole world to change. And talking about worlds to change, here's another way in which today's junior is different from the past. He is very much aware of the world in which he lives. He knows what's going on. Yes, he does know what's going on. And in his mind, he's already helping to solve the world's problems.
Ready, nurse? Yes, doctor.
Imagination, heroes, worlds to change, a desire for the facts, a finely tuned memory. These are juniors now, and these are the young minds Juniors Now appeals to directly. Our junior Sunday school materials are published at 3 levels of ability, with the same lesson, the same stories and message, but graded in their presentation to help younger juniors and challenge more mature ones. The teacher's manual, with its fresh new format and direct appeal to today's junior, has important new elements. For instance, it contains a 4-page section on teaching tips. Additional correlated material based on the same message, the same verses, is presented in the teaching aid packet. Another important feature of Juniors Now is the fact that most of the reading and the reports contained in the students' books are to be done outside of class time. Class becomes a time to share what each student has found for himself. Not only is the material covered relevant, but the situation is so structured as to make the learning of it important too. Juniors Now is the result of careful study, careful testing, and genuine care for today's junior. He's trying life out in his mind. He's looking around, becoming aware. Imagination is leaping at the chance to get involved. This is the time to reach the young mind and heart. Now, before the pressures of actual participation begin, this is the time to build habits, to instill biblical principles, and a spiritual foundation which will support him when the real participation begins. This is the time to challenge him to the most important commitment he will ever make. Juniors Now utilizes the key to keeping juniors tuned in. Juniors Now starts where today's junior really is and relates the hero, Jesus Christ, God's Son, to his world. Not just the Sunday morning world, but the 7-day-a-week world. Hasn't something like this been needed? The answer is obvious, and it is here, ready for your juniors now.